In a world that constantly pulls us in 100 directions, presence is a rare and sacred power. When our minds are caught in loops of regret, fear, comparison, or self-doubt, we lose the very moment we are living in. But when we awaken to the stillness already within us, everything begins to change. This isn't just about peace, it's about power. The power to reclaim your mind, to reshape your attitude, and to rise into the life you are truly meant to live. This message is not a lecture, it's a journey inward toward the heart of transformation, where mindset meets presence and your new life begins. There is nothing as powerful as a changed mind. You can change your hair, your clothing, your address, your spouse, your church, your residence. But if you don't change your mind, the same experience will perpetuate itself over and over again. Because everything outwardly changed, but nothing inwardly did. There is nothing as powerful as a changed mind. Change your thoughts, and you'll change your world. We cannot live a life of positivity when we have a thought life that is full of negativity. What are you choosing every single day to put into that mind of yours? Presence begins in the mind. Before you can be still in the world, you must be still within. If the mind is filled with fear, regret, and distraction, then even the most peaceful place will feel restless. But when the mind is anchored in presence, you can find peace, even in chaos. I've seen people who had the education to go up. They had the gifting to go up. They had the talent to go up, but didn't have the right attitude. And eventually, if that attitude, if that heart, if that invisible part isn't right, you can have all the talent in the world, but you will always end up getting spoiled by your own attitude. They had the talent to go up, but didn't have the right attitude. And eventually, if that attitude, if that heart, if that invisible part isn't right, you can have all the talent in the world, but you will always end up getting spoiled by your own attitude. Yes, you'll get the opportunity. Yes, you'll get the job. Yes, you'll get the deal. But you won't be able to keep it because your attitude will corrupt every opportunity that life offers you, and you never saw it coming. Presence teaches us to pause in these moments, to step back and become the silent observer of our reactions. When you watch your thoughts without getting caught in them, you make space for a wiser response. That space is where presence lives, and it's where real change begins. If I want to change the direction of my life, I'm going to have to change my thought life. If you're jotting down notes, I want you to write this down. My thoughts shape my world. If you don't like where you're at today, consider changing your thoughts and watch how that will change the direction of your life. Maybe the reason why you're at where you're at today is because your thought life is not where God wants it to be. The battleground between God and the enemy, between right and wrong, between success and struggle, between destiny or destruction, is fighting for your mind, because in your mind are your deep settings. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If you don't change it in your head, you can't change it in your life. I don't care whether it's losing weight. I don't care whether it's going after a job. I don't care whether it's being faithful and committed or being honest and true. It has to change up here, or it won't change anywhere else. If I change the direction of the way I think, then I can change the direction of the way I live. Romans chapter 8, verse 6 says this from the New King James, "For to be carnally minded is death. Carnally, a word we don't use often now, but it means to be ruled by the flesh. In the Greek, it says it this way: to be flesh-ruled produces death. He's talking about your mind and your thoughts. If you think thoughts of death, you produce death in your life. Not necessarily physical death, but if all you do is think about how bad your marriage is, how much you hate your spouse, you are producing death in your relationship. If all you ever do is think about how you hate your job, you'll produce death at your job. You might get fired and not even know why. What we put into our mind is vital. Paul says to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded produces life and peace. Presence is the essence of spiritual mindedness. It means you are not being dragged by your thoughts, but instead you are watching them, grounded in awareness. This awareness is what Christ and every enlightened teacher has pointed to as the seat of transformation. I believe God wants you to have life and peace. I believe He wants you to have peace in your mind. And the only way that happens is to grab onto what God says and put His thoughts into your mind. Luke chapter 6, Jesus says, "Our thoughts that we speak come out of our heart. Whatever your heart is full of, that's what comes out." Its roots are inward, but its fruits are outward. Attitude is our best friend or our worst enemy. Attitude is more honest and more consistent than our words. Attitude is what draws people to us or pushes them away. Attitude is never content until it's expressed. And here's my favorite quote from Maxwell. Attitude is the librarian of our past, the speaker of our present, and the prophet of our future. Our attitude determines success and happiness more than our giftedness, more than our opportunities, more than our circumstances. We all, every one of us, will face challenges, but our attitude will help us climb out of the difficulty with God's favor and direction. James chapter 1, verse 2 says, "Count it all joy when you encounter various trials, for the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. and steadfastness, when it has done its work, makes you whole, complete, lacking nothing. If your life isn't going in the right direction, check your attitude. If you want a better life, if you want to change your life, the number one way to do that is to change your thoughts. You are in control of your mind. You are in control of your thoughts. You're in control of your mind. You're in control of your thoughts. And here's the good news. If I let Jesus change my thinking, He'll change my life. He'll change my life. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing what? The way you think. The way God changes you is He changes the way you think. We have to quit looking at what everybody else is doing. You see, some of you're living your life concerned about what everybody else thinks. I want to challenge you to live your life this way. Live your life trying to think how God wants you to think. What does He want you to think? How does He want you to perceive the world? How does He want you to live? I'm sure you could come up with all kinds of ways and times you've been hurt, wounded, slighted, mistreated, or disrespected. Most of us got books. I've got books of ways I feel mistreated, ways I feel abused, ways I feel picked on. But you know what? The Bible doesn't call us to make a list of the negative things that have happened in our lives. The Bible actually calls us to make a list of the positive things. You see, nobody has to force you to remember the ugly, but Jesus wants to teach you how to remember the beautiful. What are the good things in your life? So, as you move forward, remember this. True transformation begins not with what you do, but with how you think and how present you are in each moment. Let today be the day you stop living in reaction and start living with intention. Let today be the day you stop carrying the noise of the world and begin to hear the still, powerful voice of presence within. Because when you master your mind and root yourself in awareness, you don't just change your life. You become a light for others to find their way. Presence is your superpower. Use it and step boldly into the life you were created to live.